All right, today we're going to go over how to build a Millie Maker lineup. If you look here, we're going to go through all the last. We have 2024, 23, 22, 21. Break them down, and then we'll go over the chart and a good way to attack 25. All right, if you do want in on this chart, just drop the comment down and we'll get you in. There's a lot of good stuff on here. Kind of, again, this stuff is kind of broken down from last year's stats. Gives you some cores down here that you can look at, and then some ownership of players. We're going to break down. First, we'll go 2021, just kind of looking at the lineup here. Some things I kind of noticed right off the bat. Cheap quarterback, 5,700. That's pretty cheap. 2020, I think, is when Burrow came out, so this was his second year. I don't really remember how good Minnesota was back then, but it looks like this team went Burrow, Mixon, Higgins here. Burrow is just one of those guys you can stack with the running back because they do a lot of screens, and he's just good at hitting them. They run a lot of angle routes. They run into the flats, and he'll get them the ball pretty quick. Just looking at the roster, it looks like they went one cheap. I don't know if you can see that. Move it in a little bit. Looks like they. Oh, I guess I can't really move it. There we go. Cheap quarterback, 6,200. I don't know if you review a lot of these lineups, uh, paying down for running back, paying down for QB. This seems more of like something maybe mid-season almost. So just different way to build the lineups here. But anyways, we've stacked Cincy paired up with running back Higgins, um, as well as, let's see, did he have a bring back here? It doesn't look like there was any bring back to it. You can definitely in a game like this. There's got to be maybe somebody that comes back out of here. I don't remember who the running back was back then. It might have been Cook, maybe in 21. I don't remember. And if Burrow's out, that means Jefferson was out. So that could have been a bring back as well in this lineup. No bring back though. If you look here, very cheap. I think 2,000 is the bare minimum for defense. So they kind of just threw a dart in at defense. It looked like Arizona ended up beating the crap out of Tennessee. Cheap wide receiver here in the flex. That's not really something I typically do. For instance, Jacksonville at Houston would not have been an afternoon game. They kind of just got lucky here, in my opinion. This KC Cleveland, that probably was an afternoon game, and I probably would have thrown Tyreek Hill in the flex here. That way you can, that way if you want to do late swap, you have a lot of money there to work with. Next thing you kind of notice here, I see Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. This is something I would never really throw two pass catchers in without their quarterback. This is a crazy lineup. But to be fair, this is week one. So in week one, there are 832,342 entries. There's a lot of people to be different from. I think in Squid Games there's like 100 contestants, and even watching that, you really just don't know who's gonna win. So 832,000. You've got to be really different. You got to be really uncomfortable. I would never have done this. Maybe that's why I probably have not won the Millie Week 1 or ever. But yeah, I would never throw a cheap wide receiver here in the flex. That's not my thing. Next thing, this is San Fran. Was there somebody else? Nobody else from San Fran. Debo just ended up being a one-off here. And then cheap running back here to fill in was Melvin Gordon back when he was relevant. All right, this is not something I'll ever build. This was 2021. Good job for them. 22. See if we can see it here. All right, 22. Might be too zoomed in. At 22, you had Patrick Mahomes stacked with Travis Kelce. I see Travis Kelce in there 2 years in a row. Let's see, Arizona. No bring back again. Just a single stack with the tight end. Indy, Houston. Not too much correlation in this unless I'm missing something. Look again. Cheap dart defense. They ended up scoring 26. I think this was a terrible game for Burrow. I think he did throw 4 interceptions. I don't think they put. Yeah, he ended up throwing 4, and then they came back. I remember that game. Burrow has not had a hot start in in a hot minute. I don't know his record as a starter week 1, but I think they've only won that one game that we saw with the Millie last time. But I wonder if that's why we're seeing more Burrow in the preseason. I feel like they never play that much, so maybe they're just trying to get warmed up quick, which I'm cool with. Burrow's going to throw the ball 40 times Sunday, so I'm going to be all over those stacks. Anyways, KC ended up beating the crap out of them. Anytime you get a big game like that, you probably could have thrown in somebody else from that game. I mean, somebody, 3,000. I don't know who else would have been in on that game. But anyways, just single stack. Romeo Doubs only scored 8 points, but he was 3,000. And if you look at ownership here, looks like Pittman might have been one of the chalk wide receivers that week. But other than that, everybody else is like well under 15. I guess Kels probably would have been the chalk tight end. I don't know if anybody else would have been higher on tight end that week, but I mean, week 1, cheap defense they plugged in, and they got a bunch of studs in good spots. Is Antonio Gibson a great running back? No, but he was probably in a good spot against Jacksonville that week. I don't know if they had somebody out, and he ended up taking all the starting reps. I know Jacksonville's not very good at covering wide receivers, and if you look, he had 7 receptions there. Saquon Barkley, 6,100. If you get a player that Saquon Barkley as good as him at 6,100, week 1 the prices are a little softer, so that kind of makes sense. Justin Jefferson down here at 7,800, 12.5 ownership. I mean, Barkley at 14%. I don't know why. Barkley should have been like 30% owned. I don't understand why he was only 14%. Jefferson, Kels, we didn't really talk about Christian Kirk, just a bring back, it looks like, with correlation from Gibson in that game. And then Dobbs was a correlation right with this game. He went receiver, paid up for 1 and paid down, and it worked out for him. All right, this is 2022. I personally would build lineups like this, single stack. I mean, you could have played a wide receiver here from the Chiefs if you wanted to as a double stack. I'm sure you could have played. Oh, what running back was that? There was a running back the Chiefs had that was a good pass catcher, and all of a sudden he would boom for 20 points. I don't really remember. But paid down running back there, and then chalk Pittman was just in a good spot. So if you look here, no other, yeah. If you look here, he went Mahomes, Kelce, no bring back there, but he started correlating games. He went Green Bay with Minnesota, and then Washington here with Jacksonville. If you think games are going to be a shootout, that's perfectly fine. build off correlation of those games. You think who's going to have to get the ball a lot there. All right, next one. It's going to be 2023. Let's see. All right, 2023. You look down here, under 3K defense right off the bat. It's first thing I notice. You know, I'm going to have a couple hundred lineups going this week, and I don't know if I'm going to let anybody above like 31, 32 in. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. All right, Tua, this was a shootout. This is a game in a dome. And let's look back at 2022 real quick. This game was in a dome. High total game in a dome. Those are the games I like to target. This again, the Chargers. I think this might have been 23, yeah. So Herbert was definitely playing. I think he was a 2022 guy. So he was definitely in a role there. And if you look here, you have Tua and Tyreek Hill. Tua, Tyreek Hill, and the bring back of Austin Eckler. So high totaled game in correlation here. Seems to hit a lot. Seattle, I'm a huge Kenneth Walker fan. I don't know how he ended up being in this winning lineup at 6K. I'm sure there was some other 6K running backs that went off, but I guess they just didn't build the Tua stacks. Low ownership on Tua. Tyreek Hill was probably that chalk wide receiver that week. And everybody else pretty low. I mean, Ridley's over 15%. The Commanders' defense was chalk. So, and they still gave up 16. They just had 3 sacks. They only scored 11. But maybe just so many lineups had them in there that they were bound to be the winner. All right, Seattle and the Rams. I don't see any other correlation there. Carolina, Atlanta. I don't see it. Man, it looks like they just stacked Tyreek Hill with a bringback of Eckler and then kind of just plugged guys in. Kendrick Bourne went off. Didn't look like they had too much other correlation unless I'm missing something. You have to be really uncomfortable to get to these lineups in the Millie Maker, especially with, 800,000 entries. It's crazy. All right, next 2024, and this one this one still blows my mind that this is the winner. That I feel like somebody just woke up and they were probably hungover and just put a lineup in, or they used some generator that just spits lineups out and they didn't tell it to make any correlation. Because this is a lineup I would never ever make. Right? Was I on A-Chain week 1? Yes. Was I on Josh Allen? Yes. But I'm not Josh. I always stack my QBs, even though I know he's good for rushing touchdowns, but he still threw 230 and had 2 passing touchdowns. So I don't know why they didn't stack anybody. And if you look, you have the tight end and wide receiver from the same team. I would never do that without the quarterback unless I was trying to fully game stack a single game. I was not on the Saints week 1. They scored 47 against Carolina. All right, if there's any other correlation here, they went A-Chain and Hill, and that's cool. I was kind of on that. I liked A-Chain and I liked some Hill, but if you look at the pricing, it's crazy. And then they just threw a dart at Josh Reynolds, $4,200. He got 9 points, so doubled his thing. Juwan Johnson, 37, and then Alec Pierce. The number 3 on the Colts, just with Anthony Richardson in the game. He loves throwing deep balls to Alec Pierce, so that's why he went off that game. 3,600 for the defense going up against the Giants. So this would maybe be a reason that I would pay up for defense if they just have some great matchup. I think the Giants are going to be a little better this year. I'm not going to target them. But there are some teams that I have interest in and maybe paying up for that I would attack. All right, so definitely not a lineup that I would play, but good for them. And maybe one week, um, I'll just get lucky and throw my lineup in, and it'll hit the millie. All right, we're gonna build a lineup real quick. I'm gonna use my chart that I build here. I do have a couple friends that hop in and put some chords that they like. I for the last 3 weeks I've been all over Joe Flacco. I think that's a great spot. I am just worried a little bit on it kind of bumping up in ownership towards as the week goes along. So I'll play it from there. All right. So what I'm looking at right now, I'm gonna pull up some ownership that I have currently right now. I'm sure it'll change a little bit, but I am looking at somebody that's in a good spot, and you know where he's throwing the ball. I'm looking at Brock Purdy at under 5% ownership. I am worried about quarterback ownership in a tournament with 800,000 entries. All right. Am I worried about that on week 2, week 3, week 4, or the rest of the year? Not really, because there's not that many entries. There's normally, I think it's like 190,000, 170. It's been a whole year since I played. I don't really remember exactly right off the top of my head. All right, Brock Purdy. I think a chalk wide receiver that people are going to pay down for is going to be Pearsall. I just don't know if people are stacking Brock Purdy with him. I'm sure there will be some, but I think people are just kind of using Purdy and who's the wide receiver from Egbuka or whatever. Where's Tampa Bay? There we go. Egbuka. Yeah, I think people are kind of. This is that price range here where people are probably going to pay down at and get these guys. I think they're in great spots. Egbuka is going to be taking all of Godwin's snaps. McMillan is on IR. So if you really want to do a Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Egbuka stack, I'm going to have a lot of that. Totally cool with it. I'm not going to play that in the Millie Maker. I am looking for pure leverage of people that are in good spots that a lot of people aren't playing. Next up, because of his price tag, I don't know how many people. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see how many people or what the ownership is on Kittle. Kittle's looking. I mean, 13% ownership. That's coming in. Give me 10 to 15%, I think, on Kittle when we come down to it. That's kind of a lot for that price tag, but I mean, we saw in the other lineups where Travis Kelce was the chalk tight end, clearly like over 20%, and it's just all the way that you build the lineup, so correlation. I am cool with Brock Purdy, Pearsall, Kittle. Seattle's looked pretty impressive preseason so far. I know people are like, oh, it's preseason, who cares? But for the sake of this lineup and because of the ownership, let me look again. The ownership at the position, Seattle's offensive line has looked really good. And if you know Saleh, Robert Saleh is the defense coordinator for the 49ers again. And if you know anything about his past, he gives quarterbacks all the problems in the world, but people are able to run on them. If Seattle's run game is getting going, I'm all for stacking. Let me see the ownership. I don't even see him on here. Kenneth Walker, 5%. I think you have to do it. He's 5,900. He's just one of those people when we bring up those past lineups, he's in that price range. He's in a good spot. 68, 66. Where's that one? I mean, we had Saquon Barkley around that price range. You had Gibson go off at 58. And then Joe Mixon here went off. They're all around that price range. And if everybody is on one running back at that same price range, you have to find another pivot that's in a good spot. I would have won outright a single entry like last year if I would have just gone with my gut and played. I think it was Derrick Henry that week. Nobody was on him. It's Derrick Henry. He's always up for a smash spot. I didn't play him. Yeah, that I still beat myself up because I had all the pieces to where if I would have played Derrick Henry, I just smashed the field by like 20 points, and I didn't play him, so I was pretty upset. All right, Kenneth Walker, we got to bring back, and by stacking here and correlating, that's already 4 spots we've taken up. So now we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I think a lot of the ownership is going for the Raiders. This is early. They're cheap defense. I think New England has improved. I like Drake May, but Max Crosby still plays for the Raiders, and as long as he's there, he can literally take a game over. I'm totally cool. Raiders defense. I won't pull up their ownership right now, but I have a lot of interest in them. I don't know how good that offensive line is. I know they drafted that left tackle, but Max Crosby normally goes up against the right tackles. Next, McCaffrey here. I was talking about him all over my last video. I'm a huge McCaffrey fan. I will not, and I'm saying this for video's sake, I will not be playing him in my Millie lineup. And I hope that doesn't come back to bite me because McCaffrey's a freak. But for this sake, I'm not going to play him. I'm going to put in, I'm looking at it again. I keep losing the ownership. All right, running back ownership. All right, so everybody in the same price range around Jahmyr Gibbs is double or triple or quadruple his pay, right? So even Bucky Irving is over double his ownership right now. You get Gibbs, he's in one of the highest total games of the week. He is in a spot where he's going to get the football. He's in his prime. He showed last year that he's so explosive. I'm good with that. Even though they have David Montgomery back, I think Montgomery's going to go back to his role. They're going to pound him for 3 to 5 yards, pound him for, 20, 30 yards on the drive. And then they're going to put Gibbs in, and he's going to spring for, a touchdown or 2. I do like Gibbs in this game. Even though this game isn't in a dome, I'm totally cool with this. All right, 5,700 left. Wide receiver. Chalk wide receivers. Let me pull them up. All right, chalk wide receivers. Ja'Marr Chase, of course. He's in a great spot. I do like T. Higgins a lot as a pivot there. He is still over 10%, but I still think he's in a good spot. And he's going up against Cleveland's number 2 wide receiver. And if you ask anybody, they'll tell you that T. Higgins is probably number 1 on a lot of teams. I think a lot of people could make that argument. Somebody was texting me earlier about, they said, I can't believe how cheap, where is he? Terry McLaurin. Somebody was telling me, I can't believe how cheap Terry McLaurin is. Well, the QB is, he's chalk. He's one of the highest owned QBs, and that's fine. I think he's a great player. But if we can maybe get him as a one-off, let me see if I can find him. Let me type his name in real quick. McLaurin, he's 8% right now, under 10%. Let's just click it. We got 57. Let's click it and see what it does here. 55 left for a wide receiver and a flex. Who is cheap wide receiver. McMillan is in a good spot. Let's see if we. I do like McMillan as a Jags fan. I think he's a freak athlete. This guy is. Is there? I don't think it says his size on here. He's a big-bodied wide receiver that makes all the contested catches. He's in a good spot. That game has a potential shootout written all over it. Did I right-click him? No. 52 McMillan. Let's see what that does. 59 for the flex. And if we wanted to, no, we don't need to do that. Let's just see who's 59-ish. Metcalf. No. Pollard, maybe. Doesn't he get a lot of work? He gets some targets. He does get a lot of targets. I don't know his ceiling, though, against Denver. So I probably won't do that. Is there cheaper? See, this is where I get all mixed up. All right, 52 for McMillan. Let's take him out. Let's put Egbuka in. I also have interest in that game. 6,500 here, and it gives us so many different options. You have, I feel like people are not playing Kyren Williams either. I think Houston's defense is going to be top 5 in the NFL this year. I think that's where they end up. And people are Kyren Williams, 5 to 10% ownership. I don't mind that click at all. This is an afternoon game. It gives you a chance to late swap here. With Kyren Williams, I'm not really like too worried about matchups with a player like him. He gets so much usage in the passing game. There are some games where he'll get 6 targets. Seems to be when they're losing. But he just touches the ball so many times. He's going to get 20 to 25. There's 29 and 2 target. I mean, that's 30 touches in some of these games. This game does have shootout potential. You have to get uncomfortable. I'm cool with if you want to go Brock Bowers. It gives you a double tight end. Breece Hall. I'm just worried about this game's so slow. Aaron Rodgers waits till the last second to snap the ball. Breece Hall, I do have a little interest in him just because of Justin Fields' running ability. It makes it really hard on the defense. I could maybe see them. Justin Fields just sucks at throwing the football. He makes the right read. He knows where to go with the ball. He just does not make the right throw. It drives me crazy. He'll have a wide open receiver and he puts it on a line. And it's like, dude, just put some air under it. Or he'll need to make a cover 2 throw and he throws a cover 3 throw. And it's like, dude, like, my goodness. You could be elite. He can run the football really well. If you're looking at using a if you don't want to stack him, cool. If you want to play Justin Fields, I probably won't be on him. It's a low total game and it's slow. Drake London, we already have. Oh, okay. See, this will give us a run back here. We'll go Drake London. Bam. All right. I'm cool with this lineup. This is a lineup I would play. The only issue here, Pearsall and Egbuka, I think when it comes down to it Sunday, they're going to be 15 to 20% owned, which in a tournament with 8,300 entries, you do have to be careful about that. We did go a low ownership QB, but his stack might be high. We do have 2 running backs that are low. McLaurin's almost unowned. I don't know. I think this is a good maybe single entry tournament. I don't know if I would throw this in. I think we'd have to get uncomfortable here and find just to get different. I do like Connor. I think his ownership stays down. Let me see. Yeah, it's under 15. Whatever you want to do. If you want to kind of play with the last one, or get rid of McLaurin, or you know, get rid of McLaurin, put McMillan in there, and then get rid of one of. I would get rid of Egbuka probably. That way I can keep the stack here with Purdy. All right. I hope looking at the review helps out. And good luck to you this weekend, but hopefully I win the $1 million.